Welcome back to our channel, wonderful friends. Today is a beautiful, bright day, and we are so absolutely thrilled to sit down with you once again. We have so much to unpack together today, and the emotions are running higher than ever. I have to tell you, my heart was absolutely pounding in my chest when I saw the latest developments with Valentin. We all knew that he was facing the terrifying prospect of being locked away at Steinmauer, a place that would break even the strongest of men. But seeing him actually manage to escape that dark fate and avoid being trapped there left me completely breathless. However, if there is one thing I have learned from watching these characters navigate their chaotic lives, it is that freedom in Port Charles never actually means peace. Valentin might not be sitting behind bars, but he is trapped in a completely different kind of prison right now. He is a fugitive, constantly looking over his shoulder, and the heavy weight of that reality is so palpable. I can feel his exhaustion through the screen. He wants so desperately to find a safe harbor, but the storm is only just beginning to gather around him, and it is pulling everyone he cares about into the terrifying crossfire. What truly caught me off guard, and yet somehow made perfect emotional sense in a strange way, is the deep, undeniable romantic connection blossoming between Valentin and Carly Spencer. I sat there watching them, and I could feel the intense, magnetic pull between these two restless souls. Carly has always been drawn to danger, like a moth to a flame, and Valentin is the ultimate forbidden fruit right now. They are both fiercely protective, deeply flawed, and carrying so much emotional baggage from their pasts. But seeing them find comfort in each other's arms while the whole world is hunting, Valentin is just so incredibly captivating. It feels like they are standing in the very center of a hurricane, holding each other for dear life while the winds howl around them. I find myself rooting for them, even though my common sense is screaming loudly that this is a recipe for absolute disaster. You just know a secret this explosive cannot stay hidden for long in a town like this. And of course, the secret did not stay hidden at all. When Sonny finally discovered that Carly and Valentin were harboring these deep romantic feelings for one another, the look on his face sent a cold shiver straight down my spine. Sonny has always had this deep territorial possessiveness over Carly, even when they are not romantically together. It is a complicated, messy, and undeniable bond they share. Watching Sonny process the shocking reality that the mother of his children is romantically entangled with a dangerous, on-the-run Cassadine was like watching a pot of water finally boil over. I could feel his raw anger radiating right through the television screen. He does not just see this as a romantic betrayal, he sees it as a massive, unforgivable threat to his entire family's safety. Sonny's mind immediately went into a fierce lockdown mode, and you could see the gears turning behind his dark eyes as he decided he had to put an end to this dangerous romance immediately. I was practically yelling at my screen when Sonny called in Brick to intervene and shut down Carly and Valentin's relationship. Brick is Sonny's ultimate problem solver, a man who operates in the shadows with terrifying efficiency and absolute loyalty. Seeing Sonny deploy Brick not against a rival mob boss, but against Carly's own heart, felt so incredibly invasive and controlling. I felt a deep surge of frustration for Carly in that moment. She is a grown woman who has survived so much hardship, and yet here is Sonny trying to pull the strings of her life once again from behind his desk. But at the exact same time, I can completely understand Sonny's raw, unfiltered fear. He knows exactly how dangerous Valentin's world is right now, and he truly believes he is doing the right thing by forcing them apart before someone gets killed. It is this heartbreaking clash of intentions where no one is entirely right and no one is entirely wrong, but the emotional fallout is going to be absolutely devastating for everyone involved. Just when I thought the tension could not possibly get any higher, Lulu Spencer entered the picture and completely blew the roof off this entire storyline. My jaw actually dropped when Lulu discovered the massive, shocking secret that Carly and little Charlotte had been secretly hiding Valentin for months. Can you even imagine the sheer panic, horror, and betrayal that must have washed over Lulu in that exact moment? As a mother, My heart ached so deeply and painfully for her. Finding out that your vulnerable child has been tangled up in a dangerous fugitive's web of lies right under your nose is the stuff of absolute nightmares. And to know that Carly, someone who knows exactly how dangerous the mob and spy worlds can be, was entirely complicit in dragging Charlotte into this terrifying mess, it is a betrayal that cuts straight to the bone and shatters any illusion of safety. The anger that erupted from Lulu was a pure force of nature, and I was entirely on her side as I watched the scene unfold. Watching her confront this horrifying reality was like watching a mother bear fiercely protecting her cub from a predator. Lulu's fury was not just about the lies they told. It was about the profound, reckless endangerment of her sweet, innocent daughter. Charlotte has already been through so much emotional trauma in her young life, and the idea that she was harboring a wanted man, living with that kind of terrifying, heavy secret every single day, is just completely horrifying to me. I felt Lulu's pain and outrage so vividly. She looked at Carly not as a friend or an extended family member, but as a direct, unacceptable threat to her child's safety. The trust between these two women has been completely shattered into a million unfixable pieces, and I honestly do not know how Carly can ever make amends for crossing such a sacred maternal boundary. Driven by pure, desperate maternal instinct, Lulu did something that absolutely broke my heart into pieces. She went straight to Sonny Corinthos, practically begging him to take immediate action. Seeing Lulu, who has always tried so hard to keep her hands clean of Sonny's dark and violent world, pleading with him to stop Valentin and Carly's crazy, reckless behavior was a profound and tragic moment. She knows deep down that Sonny is the only person in this town with enough power, influence, and ruthlessness to actually force Carly's hand and drive Valentin away for good. It felt so incredibly sad to watch a loving mother become so desperate to protect her daughter that she has to rely on a dangerous mob boss to intervene. I could feel the tears pricking my eyes as Lulu laid her heart completely bare, asking Sonny to do whatever it takes to ensure that Charlotte does not become tragic collateral damage in Carly and Valentin's dangerous game of love and war. The confrontation that followed between Sonny and Carly was nothing short of volcanic, and I could barely tear my eyes away. We have seen these two fight countless times over the decades, but this argument felt entirely different. This felt deeply dangerous and final. I sat on the absolute edge of my seat as Sonny laid down the law, his voice low and full of that quiet, terrifying authority he uses when he is dead serious about something. He threw Lulu's absolute panic right in Carly's face, demanding that she step away from Valentin immediately before her choices destroy their family. But Carly, true to her incredibly stubborn and fiery nature, pushed right back with everything she had. I felt so incredibly torn watching her defend her choices. Part of me admired her fierce independence and her absolute refusal to let any man, even Sonny Corinthos, dictate who she can love. But the other, more rational part of me was screaming at her to wake up and see the terrifying reality of the danger she is bringing directly to her own doorstep. Carly's inability to see the broader, more devastating consequences of her actions is her tragic flaw, and it is on full, glaring display right now. She truly believes that she can handle Valentin, that she can manage the looming WSB threat, and that her fierce love is enough to shield everyone from the inevitable fallout. But as I watched her dig her heels in and refuse to back down, I just felt this overwhelming, suffocating sense of dread. She is acting entirely out of passion, completely ignoring the massive ripple effects her choices are having on innocent people like Charlotte. Carly's defiance is creating a terrible, widening rift, not just with Sonny, but with Lulu, who will never, ever forgive her for putting a child in the direct line of fire. It is so incredibly hard to watch someone you care about make such destructive, blind choices. And I find myself praying that Carly wakes up and sees the truth before it is entirely too late to fix the damage. And my absolute worst fears were completely confirmed when Jack Brennan's sinister, chilling shadow began to loom over the entire situation. If there is one man in Port Charles who makes my blood run completely cold, it is Brennan. He is cold, calculating, and completely without a moral compass when it comes to getting what he wants. Learning that Brennan is now initiating a dangerous, shadowy new move that directly involves sweet, innocent Charlotte made my stomach tie itself into agonizing knots. Brennan does not do anything without a deeply strategic, cruel reason. He sees Charlotte not as a frightened child, but as the absolute perfect pawn to manipulate Valentin, to punish Carly, and to control the entire WSB apparatus. The sheer, unadulterated cruelty of targeting a little girl who has already been through so much emotional turmoil is just sickening, and I cannot help but feel a deep, protective panic for her as this dark plot unfolds. Watching Charlotte unknowingly become the fragile center of this terrifying, violent storm is breaking my heart into tiny, jagged pieces. She is just a young girl who loves her father fiercely and wants him to be safe, and that pure, innocent love is exactly what monsters like Brennan prey upon. I sit there watching the screen, wanting to reach right through the television and pull her into a safe, warm embrace, far away from all these ruthless spies, mobsters, and deadly games. The tension is incredibly thick, knowing that Brennan is weaving a dark, inescapable web around her, using her as ultimate leverage to force Valentin's hand or to make Carly suffer. It is a brilliant, terrifying narrative move by the writers, but emotionally it is almost too much for me to bear. A child's safety should never, ever be the bargaining chip in a violent war among adults, and seeing it happen just makes me sick with worry. When Valentin finally realizes the full, horrifying extent of the danger surrounding his daughter, the shift in his entire demeanor is going to be absolutely monumental. We all know that Valentin Cassadine is a man of many dark shades of gray, but his love for Charlotte is the one pure, blindingly bright light in his otherwise complicated soul. I can already feel the raw, terrifying energy he is going to unleash when he discovers that Brennan is using his little girl as a pawn. The cautious, fleeing fugitive who just wanted a moment of peace with Carly is going to vanish completely, replaced by the lethal, ruthless Cassadine, who will stop at absolutely nothing to protect his own flesh and blood. It is a thrilling but truly terrifying prospect to think about. Valentin is a man who knows exactly how to dismantle his enemies piece by bloody piece, and watching him pivot from desperate defense to pure, unadulterated offense is going to be a masterclass in dark vengeance.